In this universe, light is only a whisper, while darkness is the endless soundtrack of existence. When we look up at the night sky, it feels like gazing upon a black canvas scattered with faint, trembling sparks. Those stars, no matter how they shimmer, are nothing more than tiny grains of dust adrift in an ocean of shadow. Every star, every galaxy, floats like a lonely island in a boundless black sea. We often say light brings knowledge and darkness hides mysteries. Yet perhaps it's the darkness that is the greatest storyteller, the silent witness watching over everything since the birth of the universe. Take a moment, close your eyes. Everything around you fades. The familiar world melts into a deep, quiet black. What remains isn't fear, but something like return. A sense that, somewhere deep inside, we remember darkness, not as an enemy, but as our first home. Before there was light, there was only it. Before there was us, there was only it. Darkness isn't just the absence of light. It's the backdrop, the infinite stage where everything else merely passes through. Light comes and goes, burns and fades, while darkness stays, steady and patient, like a heartbeat beneath the veil of night. If the universe were music, light would be the notes and darkness the silence holding them together. Without silence, sound would have no meaning. Without darkness, light would lose its purpose. It's as if the two were born to coexist, to remind us that everything needs its opposite to truly exist. When astronomers aim their telescopes into the deep cosmos, they hope to find countless stars, yet most of what they see is black. Almost the entire universe neither shines nor radiates any detectable warmth. We live in a universe where light is a rare exception, and darkness, the eternal rule. Someone once said, humans fear the dark because they don't know what's in it. But the truth is, darkness hides nothing specific. It simply reveals how fragile we are. When everything around us dissolves into black, we lose our points of reference, no direction, no form. And in that moment, we must turn inward and confront our own smallness within the vast unknown. In that world, our light, no matter how small, becomes more meaningful than ever. Like a flickering lantern deep inside a cave, light doesn't banish the dark, it merely gives it shape. And the fascinating thing is, darkness never really disappears. It just steps back, waiting. Look along the arc of a galaxy. Between billions of stars lies emptiness, millions of light years wide. Most of the galaxy is simply space where light never reaches. No sound, no heat, only a silence so profound that time itself seems to hold its breath. Here's a strange truth. More than 95% of the universe is invisible to us. We only see the small fraction that light reveals. The rest lies beyond reach, unseen, unlit, yet fully real, shaping everything around us. We are living inside a painting where most of the strokes are invisible. And once you realize that, life itself begins to look different. How many things in our lives work the same way, where the unseen parts are the ones that truly matter? Silent thoughts, unnamed feelings, fading memories, all living in the dark of our minds. They don't appear, but they pull the invisible strings that move every action, every choice. Darkness, then, isn't just out there. It lives within us. Each of us carries a quiet shadow, a still, hidden space that holds what we haven't yet dared to face. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's desire. Perhaps it's the most ancient part of us, the one that connects wordlessly with the universe itself. It's strange to think that the truest part of the world might lie in the dark. Light, as beautiful as it is, has limits. It shows us only the surface, not the depth. Like the way sunlight glimmers on a lake, it dazzles the surface, but it's in the dark water below where everything actually happens, where roots reach down, where tiny creatures hide, where life begins. Maybe we've been wrong to think of darkness as the enemy. It never fought against the light. It simply completes the picture. If light is the storyteller that speaks, then darkness is the one that listens. Every time a star dies, it doesn't vanish. It returns to the dark, like a drop of water falling back into the sea. When scientists study the cosmos, they don't just look where light shines. They study the emptiness around it, because sometimes it's the emptiness that tells the greater truth. Darkness is not meaningless. It carries information, the shape of what light cannot touch. Imagine light as a candle burning in a sealed room. When you step outside, it seems to disappear, but really it's just swallowed by a larger space. The darkness doesn't extinguish it, it embraces it, holding on to the warmth that remains. All that energy, sooner or later, returns. becoming part of the universe again. If light is expression, darkness is acceptance. Light says, "Look at me," while darkness whispers, "Rest." Perhaps that's why we sleep better in the dark, why dreams visit us only at night. In darkness, everything softens. Time slows. The voice inside grows quiet. It's the rare moment we truly breathe with the rhythm of the universe. Slow, steady, deep. If darkness is the default and light only the exception, maybe we've been seeing reality upside down. Maybe what's truly real doesn't lie in what we can see, but in what we can't. Just like music, it's not the loud notes that move us, but the pauses between them. In silence, sound is born. In darkness, light finds meaning. When we gaze at the night sky, we're not just looking into space, we're looking into history. The starlight reaching us now began its journey millions, even billions of years ago. The darkness between them, however, has always been there, ageless, unchanging. It holds no memories, yet contains everything. Maybe in that darkness, time itself no longer matters. And within that darkness hides something even deeper, an invisible kind of matter, heavy as destiny. It emits no light, no signal, yet it shapes the entire structure of the cosmos, a transparent giant silently holding every motion between the stars. When the light fades, the real journey begins. Darkness is calling. There's something strange about the way galaxies move. They spin like colossal pinwheels, yet they do so at speeds far too high to hold themselves together. By all logic, with the amount of matter we can see, stars, planets, dust, and light, these galaxies should have torn themselves apart long ago. And yet, they remain intact, spinning gracefully, holding their shape for billions of years. It's as if an invisible hand is holding everything in place. That invisible hand is what we call dark matter. No light, no form, no color, only gravity. A vast, unseen weight that fills the universe, impossible to see, touch, or measure directly. Dark matter is like a giant standing silently in the room, leaving behind only the faint ripples of its presence in space. When humanity first realized this, no one wanted to believe it. How could something exist that neither shines nor reflects, that sends out no signal, yet controls the motion of entire galaxies? But every observation led to the same conclusion. There's something massive and invisible out there, outweighing all that we can see many times over. Scientists describe it as the skeleton of the universe. Galaxies, star clusters, even vast stretches of empty space are arranged along a massive web woven from dark matter. Picture an endless black fabric laced with delicate threads. At each intersection, dark matter gathers, pulling gas, dust, and light toward it, giving birth to galaxies. Between these threads lie cosmic voids, regions of pure emptiness. Dark matter doesn't just exist, it shapes everything. It's the quiet foundation upon which the theater of light performs. Without it, stars would drift apart, galaxies would unravel, and the universe would dissolve into a glittering sea of fragments, beautiful but meaningless. We humans are creatures of light. We rely on it to see, to understand, to decide what's real. Yet dark matter needs no light to exist. It simply is, even when we don't know it's there. Perhaps that's why the thought of it unsettles us, because it means we live in a universe mostly hidden, where everything visible is only the surface of a vast, unseen ocean. From Earth, we look up and see stars, bright, reassuring, making us believe the universe is full of light. But in truth, all that light makes up less than 5% of the total matter and energy in existence. The rest, nearly 95%, is darkness, divided between dark matter and dark energy. Of that, dark matter alone accounts for about 27%, more than 5 times all the visible matter combined. When we say everything around us, we're talking about that tiny 5%, planets, people, water, rocks, trees, light. The rest of the cosmos doesn't react to light, doesn't send signals we can detect, yet it dictates how the universe exists, moves, and expands. Sometimes that realization feels like standing on thin ice, our knowledge fragile, and beneath it, a deep, heavy silence. The ice doesn't break, but we sense something immense beneath us, pulling gently, invisibly. Scientists have searched for dark matter in every way imaginable. They've built massive detectors buried deep underground, far from light and noise, waiting in silence. Years pass without a single signal. No tap, no flash, no collision. What they seek behaves like a ghost, undeniably present but refusing to show itself. One theory suggests that dark matter is made of tiny particles streaming through our bodies millions of times each second without us noticing. They don't react to light or matter. They simply glide through, like wind through water. We are, quite literally, bathing in a rain of invisible particles, immersed in matter we cannot feel. And that raises a haunting question. What does it mean to be real? Is reality only what we can see, or is there a deeper layer of existence that our senses can't reach? Perhaps what we call reality is just the small, illuminated frame within a much darker room. The rest of the space still exists, our light just hasn't reached it yet. That thought is both terrifying and comforting. Terrifying, because it reminds us how little we truly know. Comforting, because despite that ignorance, everything still works. The universe still moves in harmony, as if there's a heartbeat pulsing quietly beneath the dark. The darkness we fear isn't empty. It's dense, heavy, full of things beyond our vision. Dark matter may have no color or form, yet it's everywhere, around us, between stars, filling the spaces we think are void. It might be the very air of the cosmos, the invisible blanket wrapping everything together. Thinking about that makes us feel small, but also wondrous. Everything visible, our bodies, the dust beneath our feet, the sun itself, is just the tip of the iceberg. The real ocean lies below, deep and silent. Humanity, no matter how intelligent, is only beginning to learn how to swim on its surface. Maybe dark matter isn't just what keeps the universe together, it's how the universe keeps its secrets. A vast curtain drawn across truths not yet meant to be seen. Every civilization has its hidden treasures, its stories saved for when the listener is ready. The universe is no different. It gives us light, gives us life, but keeps its darkness as a reminder. Some things are not meant to be known just yet, and perhaps that very not knowing is what drives us forward. Like a traveler walking through the night, unable to see the destination but moving anyway, believing there's something ahead worth discovering. Maybe dark matter exists to sustain that belief, that the unknown still matters, that darkness isn't an ending, but an unopened door. When we think about dark matter, we begin to see the universe as a gentle paradox. It reveals enough to fill us with awe, yet hides enough to keep us searching. Darkness isn't the absence of knowledge, it's an invitation to continue learning. Light tells the story of the stars, but darkness tells the story of everything else. Each time we look up at the night sky, we're not just gazing into emptiness, we're looking into the very framework of the cosmos, at the invisible giant holding everything together. It's strange to realize that most of the world, both within us and beyond, is made of things we can't see. Maybe that's what makes it beautiful. The silence, the darkness, they create the backdrop that gives every spark of light its meaning. If dark matter is the body of the night, then dark energy is its breath, the force that keeps the universe expanding, living, whispering. Another story is waiting to be told in the rhythm of the void. Space was once thought to be still, like a lake after the wind has passed. For centuries, people believed the stars hung motionless in a static universe, jewels pinned to an unchanging black curtain. But then, the curtain began to move. Light from distant galaxies started to stretch, lengthening like the slow breath of some vast living being. The universe, it turned out, was not still. It was expanding every second, every moment. That discovery changed everything. The universe wasn't just alive, it was growing. Galaxies were drifting apart, endlessly. Every cluster of stars, every nebula, every planet was being carried away in an invisible current, like grains of dust floating through a cosmic wind. But the strangest part came next. Just when we thought we understood this steady expansion, the universe began to speed up. What could make space itself expand faster? What invisible hand was pushing galaxies apart with a force greater than gravity? Scientists gave this mystery a name: dark energy. It doesn't shine, it doesn't radiate heat, it doesn't collide with anything, and it leaves no trace. All we know is that it's there, woven through every void, stretching the fabric of space itself, making even emptiness dynamic. You could say dark energy doesn't occupy space. It is space, a hidden pressure born from the vacuum that causes the vacuum to expand. When the idea first emerged, few could believe it. A universe that expands was already a strange thought, but one that accelerates beyond all reason seemed impossible. Yet, every measurement in the same direction. Distant galaxies were moving away faster than nearby ones. Like a piece of fabric being pulled from all sides, every point saw every other point drifting farther away. Dark energy doesn't just exist, it dominates. It makes up nearly 70% of all the energy in the universe. Think about that. Everything that has ever burned bright, every star, planet, galaxy, even dark matter, accounts for only the remaining 30%. The rest, almost everything, belongs to something we can't see, can't touch, can't define. An invisible ocean that stretches infinitely, surrounding and seeping through everything. If dark matter is the skeleton that holds the universe together, then dark energy is its breath, forever pushing the boundaries of space outward, farther, colder, quieter. A breath that never stops. Sometimes, when we look up at the night sky and see the stars scattered like sparks on black silk, we know that their light has traveled for millions of years to reach us. Yet in that very moment, the space between us and those stars has already stretched a little more. With every breath we take, new distance is born in the universe. Dark energy is slowly pulling everything apart, even light itself. Someday in the distant future, the light from other galaxies may never reach Earth again. The night sky will grow empty, leaving only a few lonely stars from our own Milky Way. The universe will become colder, quieter, more distant than ever before. It sounds sad, but there's beauty in that fading. Like a candle burning its last flame, the universe is exhaling its final breaths in grandeur. Expansion isn't a sign of death, but proof that space has never stopped moving. We know very little about dark energy. No one knows where it came from, how long it has existed, or whether it changes over time. Some believe it's a natural property of space itself, an anti-pressure that makes the cosmos expand. Others think it's a kind of energy field we haven't yet understood, flowing between particles and keeping the rhythm of the universe. Whatever it is, it's still there, shaping the fate of everything that exists. When we think about that, the idea of nothingness starts to feel fragile. The emptiness we imagine is, in truth, the most powerful place of all. In that stillness, an invisible current is pushing the universe outward every second. Maybe silence isn't the absence of motion. It's motion whispering as softly as it can. The wonder lies in this. Most of the universe is made of things we cannot see, touch, or define, and yet they're what keep everything alive. Light is only a brief shower in a vast ocean of darkness, a spark flashing within the infinity of nothingness. When we realize this, we're forced to ask, what truly matters more, the part we understand or the part we don't? The universe doesn't need our awareness to go on. It expands, flows, and breathes while we're still searching for words to name it. Perhaps that's a lesson in humility. Some things are meant to be felt, not controlled. In a way, dark energy is like the heartbeat of the universe. With every moment, it pulses softly, pushing everything a little farther apart, expanding space a little more. It makes no sound, yet its rhythm echoes through all existence. From the smallest speck of dust to the largest galaxy, everything drifts to its silent tempo. And just like in life, sometimes the most important things are the ones we can't see. Love, time, thought, memory. They're invisible, yet they shape our entire inner world. Maybe dark energy is the universe's way of reminding us that the unseen always plays the biggest role. Each time we look up, light from the past still reaches us, while the darkness of the future keeps expanding. They meet right here, in this fleeting moment we call the present. We live at the edge between two untouchable realms, light that has faded and darkness yet to come. Perhaps that's where the meaning of existence begins. Dark energy is proof that the universe never stops changing, whether we notice or not. Everything around us, from planets to memories, is being stretched by an invisible force. Maybe that very stretching has written the rhythm of time itself, carrying us forward, making things pass, keeping nothingness in motion. Maybe the universe isn't truly expanding outward. Maybe it's expanding within us, each time we try to understand it a little more. The more we learn, the farther the horizon of knowledge seems to drift, as if dark energy were stretching the fabric of understanding itself. Every answer opens up new questions, as though the universe wants us to keep searching, never to stop. And through it all, light still endures. Fainter, smaller, but steadfast, it keeps drawing tiny points of brilliance across the vast sea of darkness. The shadows expand, and yet light continues to be born. Both coexist in an endless symphony. Perhaps this is the oldest dialogue in the history of the cosmos, the conversation between light and darkness. One creates, the other expands. One reveals, the other conceals. Life exists in the fragile space between them, in that narrow border we call the present. Before there was darkness, there was the first light. A single spark, flaring out of nothingness, began every story. And that conversation between the two forces has never ended. It continues still, in the breath of the universe and in every beat of our hearts. Before there was light, there was an age so long it defies imagination, a time when only darkness reigned. Space was not the dazzling canvas of stars we see today. There were no galaxies, no constellations, no single point of light to mark direction, only a vast, bottomless ocean of black, silent, cold, and endless. This was the Dark Age, the first era after the Big Bang, when the universe was still too young to shine. Everything then was a fragile mix of hydrogen and helium, drifting through a newborn cosmos like the first breaths of existence itself. There was no sound, no form, only waiting. Then, in that infinite sea of night, something extraordinary happened. Under the pull of their own gravity, enormous clouds of gas began to gather, swirling tighter and hotter. The temperature climbed higher and higher until a single fateful moment arrived. The first nuclear reaction ignited. The first light was born. A tiny, fragile spark pierced the primordial darkness. It didn't just illuminate the space around it, it proclaimed a new era for the entire universe. That faint glow declared that darkness would never again be absolute. The first stars flared to life like lonely fires in a frozen sea. They were far larger than any star that exists today, short-lived but fierce. Within their cores, the first elements of life were forged. When these stars died, they exploded into radiant clouds of dust, scattering new matter across space. From those remnants, new stars were born, then planets, moons, and, one day, beings capable of looking up at the sky. The dawn of the universe was not just the birth of light, but the awakening of existence itself. From that moment, the universe began to remember. Every particle, every photon, every meeting of energy and matter became a memory, etched into the fabric of space. Before that, time did not exist as we know it. There was no before or after. But when light began to spread, time was born with it, the universe's very first clock. Light brought knowledge. It allowed us to see, to measure, to name. Yet in a quiet paradox, light also deepened the shadows. For wherever there is light, there is darkness. Light creates boundaries, while darkness preserves mystery. From that point on, a cosmic rhythm began, between brightness and shadow, knowing and unknowing. There is a strange beauty in that first moment. Light did not destroy darkness. It merely touched it, then was slowly swallowed back into the void. With every ray that reached outward, the universe expanded, forcing light itself to chase forever without ever reaching the end. Darkness was never defeated. It only stepped back, embracing the light like a mother holding her newborn child. Billions of years have passed since then. The first stars have long died, but their light is still traveling, still wandering through space, still touching our eyes today. When we look up at the night sky, we are not seeing the present. We are seeing the universe's memories. Every glimmer is a whisper from a distant past, carrying within it the story of the beginning. Perhaps that is why humans have always felt compelled to look upward. Even before we understood the stars, we sensed that there was something in that light that quieted the soul. We might not understand it, but we feel an invisible thread connecting us to those distant sparks, as if they are reminding us that we too once belonged to that first moment. But light does not only bring life, it also sows the seeds of death. The brightest stars burn themselves out the fastest. When their energy fades, they collapse, explode, or shrink into black holes that devour everything nearby. Light is born from darkness, and one day it will be pulled back into its embrace. Within that cycle lies a quiet balance, a heartbeat of the cosmos. Everything shines and fades, expands and contracts, exists and dissolves. Nothing lasts forever, but nothing truly disappears. The light of a star may die, yet its final photons keep traveling for billions of years, still alive within the deep dark. When we reflect on this, we might realize something simple yet profound. Light is not the victory over darkness, but proof that darkness still has room for new beginnings. Darkness is the canvas, light is the brushstroke. Without darkness, light would have nowhere to appear. The same is true within the human mind. Each of us carries a private darkness, a place of fear, memory, and mystery. But within that darkness, the smallest glimmers mean the most. A thought, a feeling, a moment of clarity, all are forms of light born from the shadow within. In that sense, the dawn of the universe is still unfolding inside every human being. Each time we understand something new, forgive, love, or face ourselves, another star ignites from within. Maybe the first light didn't appear just to illuminate space. Maybe it appeared to remind us that darkness is not the enemy, but the beginning. Like the night before dawn, it is the stillness that allows miracles to be born. The universe continues to expand. With every passing moment, light keeps traveling, creating new dawns in corners of space never touched before. And within each of us, darkness still nurtures the tiniest sparks, quietly preparing for the next burst of light. The dawn of the universe is not only a story of time, but a story of awareness, of how something once completely dark learned to shine. Perhaps the essence of evolution, from cosmos to consciousness, is the journey from not knowing to knowing, from obscurity to realization. One day, the first light will fade, every star will die, every flame will cool, darkness will return as it once was. But perhaps that won't be the end, only the beginning of another cycle. Because after every long night, another dawn is always waiting. The universe began with a single spark in an endless darkness. And perhaps humanity began with a single thought, rising from the vast fog of consciousness. Two different journeys, yet both guided by the same longing: to find the light. Darkness is not only out there, among the stars, it lives within each of us, quietly waiting for its own first light. There's something strange about being human. We always believe we're seeing the world as it truly is. We trust that when our eyes are open, they're windows to reality, that what we see, hear, and touch is the truth. But maybe it never really was. The human brain isn't a perfect mirror. It's a storyteller, constantly reconstructing the world from fragments of data. More than 90% of the information that enters our senses never reaches awareness. Everything out there, light, color, sound, scent, texture, is filtered, compressed, and reassembled in the darkness of the mind. We don't see the world, we recreate it. What reaches the mind are faint electrical signals, colorless, shapeless, meaningless. Only when they pass through the veil of the unconscious do they gain the hues of memory, emotion, and belief. What we think we see, hear, or know as real is just a model the brain builds so we can survive the storm of raw data around us. It's as if we're staring through a fogged mirror. Every shape is blurred, every line distorted. But we've lived with that mist for so long that we no longer notice it. We trust the reflections, forgetting that beyond the haze might lie an entirely different reality. Deep within consciousness lies a place where light has never reached. A dark zone, home to unformed thoughts, buried memories, nameless fears. Most of our inner life unfolds in that darkness. Only a small portion, like the tip of an iceberg, rises above the surface where we can see it. That is the unconscious, not in some distant abstract sense, but as the natural underlayer of the mind, quietly directing most of what we do. When we speak, move, breathe, when our hearts beat, all of it happens in that hidden realm. Our inner world runs mostly on what we do not know we know. There's a beautiful paradox here. The light of reason helps us understand, analyze, and control, yet the darkness of the unconscious nourishes creativity, intuition, and emotion. Every dream, every flash of insight, every midnight idea is born there. The human mind is a miniature cosmos where light and darkness coexist, wrestle, and give life to one another. When we close our eyes, the world doesn't disappear. It simply shifts inward. In that darkness, images still appear, voices still whisper, sensations still unfold. The brain keeps creating as if it doesn't need eyes to see. This reminds us that light is not the condition of perception, only its temporary doorway. Like the universe itself, the human mind was born from a kind of darkness, a chaos of emotion, instinct, fear, and memory. Through millions of years of evolution, consciousness flickered to life within that sea of shadows, like the first light after the Big Bang. It didn't erase the dark, it merely carved out a small, dry, glowing space in which we could find our bearings. Yet every time the light grows stronger, the darkness grows deeper too. The more we know about the world, the more we glimpse what remains unknown. The more we look within, the more we uncover corners untouched by awareness. Every answer opens new dim corridors where the unknown still waits. Pause for a moment. Listen to your heartbeat. This feeling, though familiar, is still a mystery. You know your heart beats, but not how it decides to. You know you have emotions, but you don't know why a melody can make your eyes sting, or why a scent can summon a memory from childhood. Everything you experience is the movement of your inner darkness taking shape. The reality inside the mind may be an illusion, but it's an illusion we need to survive. If the brain could sense the raw totality of the world, we'd drown in chaos. Darkness is not a lack, it's a safeguard. It shields us from the unbearable, showing only what we can handle, just enough to keep going. And within that depth lies another kind of darkness, the one made of unprocessed feelings. We fear it, we hide it, yet it's what makes us human. Anger, envy, sorrow, loneliness, the emotions we try to escape are vital parts of life. Just as stars need night to shine, the soul needs its shadows to find depth. Those who have known loss, who've sat in the long silence of grief, understand that darkness doesn't only destroy, it also restores. In that stillness, awareness is cleansed, perception sharpens. Perhaps that's why poets, musicians, and scientists often find their greatest discoveries in their darkest hours. Sometimes, darkness is where the mind burns brightest. We cannot live entirely in the light. When we try to banish the dark, we end up banishing part of ourselves. To understand our inner darkness is not to fight it, but to listen. To recognize the faint voice of the subconscious whispering beneath the calm surface. Maybe understanding the darkness within is how we begin to understand the darkness of the cosmos. Both follow the same law. What we can see is only a fraction of what exists. Most of it lies hidden, yet it forms the foundation of everything that is. The universe needs darkness to stay in balance, just as we need it to understand who we are. Outside, dark energy drives the expansion of space. Inside, the unconscious drives our search for meaning. Both movements, though different in form, reach toward the same question. What are we in this vast ocean of the unknown? Perhaps each time we fall asleep, we return to that origin, to the primordial darkness where dreams are born, where the mind rebuilds itself, where the inner world is quietly rearranged. In darkness, we don't lose ourselves. We learn how to become whole again. And when we finally see it that way, darkness changes. It's no longer a threat, but a quiet companion, silent, ever-present, the still backdrop against which consciousness moves. The darkness within perception is not our enemy, but the part of us not yet understood, the vault that holds memory, emotion, instinct, and maybe even the soul. Inside each of us lies a deep night we've never walked through. And perhaps, when we're brave enough to listen to it, we'll discover something. Not terrifying, but profoundly human. Because maybe, within that inner night, the seed of consciousness was planted long ago, waiting for the moment it would awaken and bloom into light. There's a small light that never goes out inside every human mind, no matter how faint. It doesn't illuminate the whole world, only enough for us to see a small corner of the vast room we call consciousness. Each morning, when we wake, we find ourselves here again, inside this body, seeing through these eyes. It feels ordinary, familiar, yet it's nothing short of miraculous. Out of billions of living creatures, only a few can look at the world and know that they are looking. Consciousness is that tiny mirror reflecting existence itself. It's what gives rise to the word I. And yet, most of what happens in the brain occurs far outside that narrow beam of awareness. Neuroscientists say that every second, our brains process millions of bits of information, but only a microscopic fraction ever reaches consciousness. Which means that most of who we are operates in darkness, a realm without words, without images, without the sense of me. It's as if each of us sits in a dark room with a single lamp lighting only the table in front of us. We see our hands, a sheet of paper, a cup of water, and believe that's all there is. But beyond that circle of light lies an endless space. Walls, doors, ceilings, floors, all hidden in silence, waiting to be discovered. What we call consciousness might just be a delicate illusion, a trick the brain plays to watch itself. Like a light shining onto a mirror, it creates the impression of two flames where there is only one. And yet that reflection gives birth to the sense of self, to the thought, I am thinking, I am alive. In the moments when our minds drift, in dreams, in music, or when we stare into nothing, the light dims. We don't vanish. We simply sink back into the deep sea beneath us, a place where the line between inner and outer, self and world, dissolves. If consciousness is a lamp, then the unconscious is an ocean, a vast, bottomless sea where currents of emotion, memory, and instinct are constantly moving. The small boat of awareness floats on its surface, easily tossed by waves, easily lost. Yet because of it, we can ask, who am I? Where am I going? That question, simple as it sounds, is what makes consciousness extraordinary. A fish doesn't know it's swimming in water, but a human knows they're living within the flow of thought. Consciousness is the brief ability to step outside oneself and look inward. For even a fleeting moment, it opens an entirely new dimension. But perhaps consciousness was never separate from the dark. It was born from it. Like a meteor streaking across the night sky, its light exists only because the darkness gives it contrast. The unconscious is the backdrop, the sky, the primal source from which awareness emerges. Without that darkness, there could be no light to name. When we think about the birth of consciousness, we often trace it through millions of years of evolution. Primitive life reacted to the world through instinct, then learned to remember, to imagine, until one moment, a spark in the dark, when a being realized, I exist. From that spark, the river of awareness began to flow. But that light was never all-powerful. It still depends on the vast depths beneath it. When we make a decision, the brain has already acted a few milliseconds before we choose. The unconscious moves first, and consciousness follows, weaving a reasonable story. Like a captain standing on deck, thinking he steers the ship, while the engines below do the real work. That doesn't make consciousness less important. In fact, it shows that its role isn't to control, but to witness. Because of that awareness, we can reflect, create, and change course. The light doesn't need to be strong. It only needs to know that it's shining. There are rare moments when the light merges with the dark, when we enter a state of flow, creating, performing, writing, or painting. Thought falls silent, leaving only pure presence. In that instant, we are no longer separate from the world, but part of it. Perhaps this is where light and shadow meet, to create the most beautiful thing we can feel, life happening, right now. The darkness of the unconscious may seem frightening, yet it holds everything: memory, emotion, creativity. Every time consciousness shines into that unknown, a new piece of ourselves comes into view. As if, with each realization, a fragment of darkness turns into light. Still, the light will never erase the dark. Just as the universe will never be entirely bright, existence needs both to stay in balance. The dark holds us when we're lost, shelters us when we're tired, gives us a place to rest and renew. The light helps us see, question, move forward. Together, they form the rhythm of consciousness. When night falls, we let the light rest. In sleep, consciousness sinks and darkness takes over. The brain keeps working, sorting memories, healing, rebuilding. At dawn, the light flickers on again, and we return to that quiet realization: I am me. Yet without that nightly journey into darkness, the light could not shine as it does. Some say, we don't have consciousness. Consciousness is dreaming of us. A thought both gentle and unsettling. It means that our sense of self might just be a ripple on the vast, dark sea. But in that possibility lies humility, the recognition of how small we are, yet how wondrously aware. We are tiny beings who notice the dark and dare to light a candle within it. Darkness is not the enemy of consciousness. It is its birthplace, its companion, and its destination. When death comes, perhaps the little light doesn't go out, but simply sinks back into the deep, where it began, where all light once came from. From within us, the light of awareness flickers across the ocean of the unconscious, touches the surface, then dissolves into waves. The universe does the same. Amid infinite darkness, stars still burn, reflections of the same journey within us, from ignorance to understanding, from silence to wonder. That small light may be fragile, but because of it, the dark is no longer empty. It becomes the space where light can be seen. And perhaps, just perhaps, it is the darkness that's been watching us all along, through the little lamp we call consciousness. Deep within the universe lie regions so dark that even light, the fastest thing known, cannot escape. They are called black holes. The name alone sounds like something that swallows everything whole, like a bottomless well in space. But a black hole isn't merely an endpoint. It's a place where the familiar laws of nature dissolve, where time and space themselves fall into a state no one can fully imagine. Every black hole begins with a star. When a massive star runs out of fuel, it no longer has the pressure to resist its own gravity. Its outer layers collapse inward, crushing the core so violently that in an instant, gravity becomes a raging storm. Space bends, light is pulled back, time distorts. The entire star shrinks into a point smaller than a grain of sand, where matter is packed with unimaginable density. That point is called a gravitational singularity, a place where size, position, and even time lose all meaning. At the edge of a black hole lies the event horizon, a strange boundary where light itself stops moving forward. The universe outside keeps flowing, while inside, silence becomes eternal. Once anything crosses that boundary, there's no return. Even information cannot escape. From the outside, everything falling in appears to stretch endlessly, slowing down, freezing just before it reaches the edge. But from the inside, time keeps going, in a way no one truly understands. Some say a black hole is a mouth that swallows time. The closer you get, the slower time moves, like thick syrup dragging every second. If a friend were watching you from afar, they'd see you stretch, fade, and disappear into the last flicker of red light. But from within, you would see the universe racing ahead, stars and futures flashing by in an instant. In that single moment of falling, billions of years could pass outside. Inside, time ceases to flow. It becomes a surface, a loop, or perhaps something entirely different. Physicists aren't sure. Every equation we have breaks down when trying to describe the inside of a black hole. Space collapses into a point. Time stretches into a wall. All our concepts of reality, distance, speed, cause, and effect, crumble before this cosmic abyss. A black hole forces us to ask whether the universe still follows its own rules, or if this is the place where the universe forgets how to be itself. And yet, there's something strange. Though black holes emit no light, they can sing. When stars, gas, or light fall into them, they send out ripples through space-time. Gravitational waves so faint they only make the fabric of space itself tremble, but they can be measured. Each black hole has its own tone, a deep resonance, like the heartbeat of the cosmos. But what makes black holes most mysterious is the paradox they create for our understanding. All information that falls inside seems to vanish forever. Yet according to the laws of physics, information can't be destroyed. So what really happens to it? Could it still exist somehow, compressed on the surface of the event horizon, like a reflection shimmering on dark water? Or does it slip away entirely, crossing the boundary into some place we've never known? Some imagine a black hole not as an end, but as a doorway, not to destruction, but to another universe. Like roots spreading underground, connecting unseen worlds, each black hole might be the entrance to a cosmic bridge, a tunnel that folds space and links distant corners of reality. If that were true, black holes could be the veins of the cosmos, where existence itself circulates and is reborn in new forms. But that remains only a theory. No one has ever seen inside a black hole. Everything we know comes from the traces around them, the bending of light, the stars being slowly devoured, the faint trembling of space-time. A black hole is like a perfect mirror of darkness, revealing more about the observer than about itself. Perhaps it's that silence that captivates us. A black hole doesn't speak, doesn't shine. It simply exists through its invisible pull. A form of pure power that needs no proof, no shape. In its stillness, there's something that feels like the essence of reality itself. Present, yet impossible to grasp. Look closely, and a black hole becomes more than a physical phenomenon. It's a metaphor for the limits of human understanding. Just like the human mind, there are regions no light can reach. We gaze into them not to find answers, but to accept that some things cannot be known. A black hole is the symbol of the universe's great unknowing, the point where knowledge ends and mystery begins. Perhaps the universe is like a question contemplating itself. Each black hole is a silent pause, a breath in an endless symphony. In that pause, all motion stops, leaving behind a perfect emptiness. But that emptiness isn't nothingness. It's the cradle of all possibilities, the place where space may be reborn, where light might find its way again. So pause for a moment. Think about this. When we look at the night sky, perhaps every tiny star we see is slowly being drawn toward invisible black holes. The universe expands, yet within it, these dark points quietly contract, holding on to the memories of creation. A double rhythm, expansion and collapse, like the inhale and exhale of existence itself. Just like us, always torn between the desire to grow and the fear of fading away. Black holes remind us that not everything dark is an ending. Maybe darkness is simply light folded in on itself, waiting to be released in a new form. Just as in every night's sleep, the mind sinks into darkness, and by morning, light returns once more. Perhaps the universe is doing the same. Every black hole is a deep slumber, where energy and information are kept safe, waiting for another dawn. At the edge of a black hole, where light stops and time stands still, we glimpse something that lies beyond understanding. It could be the end, or perhaps the beginning. And maybe, in that final instant before being swallowed whole, a single beam of light realizes the truth, that darkness is not the enemy of light, but the place where light goes home after its long journey. From here, we begin to see darkness not as emptiness, but as a doorway, an opening into realities yet unseen. And a quiet question lingers. Is a black hole the end of our universe, or the threshold to another, waiting on the other side? There was once a strange hypothesis that left the world of physics puzzled. It began with a simple idea by Einstein and his colleague Nathan Rosen as they tried to better understand black holes. In their equations, something unexpected appeared. The possibility of a bridge connecting two different regions of space-time, a doorway between two separate realities. They called it the Einstein-Rosen bridge. Later, people gave it a more familiar name, the wormhole. Imagine a sheet of paper representing three-dimensional space. An ant walking across it would have to crawl a long way to reach the other side. But if you fold the paper so the 2 points touch, then poke a tiny hole through them, the ant could cross in an instant. A wormhole, in theory, is that kind of shortcut, not across the surface of the universe, but through its very fabric. It sounds like science fiction, but the idea was born from the pure mathematics of relativity. When Einstein studied black holes, he realized that his equations allowed for two symmetrical mouths connected by an invisible tunnel. One end could exist in our universe, and the other in an entirely different one. Or perhaps both ends lie within the same universe, separated by millions of light years, or even millions of years in time. That means, in the most extreme scenario, someone could travel through both space and time, not only moving from one place to another, but from the present to the past, or into the future. As far-fetched as it sounds, this idea lives far beyond the pages of textbooks. It became the foundation for countless stories of space travel, time travel, and journeys into parallel worlds. Yet behind all the wonder lies a haunting question no one has answered. Could such a doorway really exist? An Einstein-Rosen bridge, at least theoretically, requires negative energy, something nature doesn't seem to provide. It's like trying to keep a well from collapsing by sucking gravity out of space itself, an almost impossible feat. Still, quantum physics offers a faint glimmer of hope. In the microscopic world, energy is never completely stable. Tiny fluctuations can create fleeting quantum bridges, appearing and vanishing faster than a blink. Maybe, on the scale of the cosmos, there are portals like that too, but we're simply too limited to perceive them. Or perhaps the universe itself is woven from countless invisible bridges, connecting every point to every other, like the vast neural network of creation. Strangely, the idea of wormholes reaches beyond physics. It touches something deeper, almost spiritual, a metaphor for the human mind. We each have dark regions within us, parts we don't fully understand, hidden memories, fears, desires, our personal black holes. And sometimes within that darkness, a door opens. A moment when we confront ourselves, and in doing so, find peace. In the universe, darkness can swallow light. But perhaps within the deeper darkness lies a path toward another kind of light. In that sense, the wormhole becomes a symbol, a reminder that even in what seems like an ending, there might be a hidden route to a new beginning. Maybe when a star collapses, the universe doesn't just lose a source of light, it opens a gateway to another realm. A mirror world where everything unfolds differently, where time curls back on itself, where the laws of physics are only suggestions rather than rules. People have long asked, what happens if you fall into a black hole? Are you crushed or carried to the other side of the bridge? No one knows, because no one has ever returned to tell the story. But perhaps that very mystery is what draws us in, like the darkness of dreams, where reason fades and the impossible becomes real. Some physicists believe that black holes and white holes could be the two ends of a wormhole. The black hole consumes, the white hole expels. One is an ending, the other a beginning. Matter disappears in one place, only to reappear somewhere else. The silent rhythm of the cosmos, like death and birth, two halves of the same breath. This leads to an even bolder thought. What if our entire universe is the other side of a massive black hole in another universe? What if everything we know, the stars, planets, memories, and questions, is simply the outflow of a deeper reality, bursting through an ancient cosmic door? If that's true, then everything we see is just part of an eternal cycle: creation, collapse, and creation again. Light never truly dies, it only changes form, passing through endless bridges of existence. But perhaps the real question isn't whether we can cross that bridge, but what its existence reminds us of. That darkness is not always the end. Even in our darkest moments, when everything falls apart, there may still be a tiny opening somewhere, a bridge waiting to be found. In life, too, sometimes we only discover the doorway when we've lost our way in the dark. Something both strange and familiar seems to call from within, as if the deepest part of us whispers, "Step through. Don't be afraid." Maybe the wormhole is not just a phenomenon of physics, but a perfect metaphor for transformation. It tells us that darkness can be a path, that even within the fog, there's a way forward, not to where we once were, but to somewhere new, where we are no longer the same. The darkness of the cosmos and the darkness of the soul may simply be two versions of the same thing, doors waiting to be opened. When Einstein spoke of bridges through space and time, perhaps he wasn't only describing physics. Perhaps he was touching a deeper truth, a sense that everything is connected by invisible threads of being. In that sense, a wormhole is more than a concept. It's a symbol of hope, a quiet whisper in the dark, reminding us that even when light disappears, the path remains. It may twist, it may hide, but it is always there, linking us to something greater, a mysterious beyond that still calls our name. And so the final question returns, like an echo across eternity. What waits on the other side of the bridge? Something new, or simply our own reflection, looking back from beyond the light. In recent years, a hypothesis has emerged that has left physicists both puzzled and fascinated. It's a bold, almost poetic idea that somewhere beyond the void, there might exist a mirror universe. Not a completely different place, but a perfect reflection of our own. Everything the same, yet reversed. Imagine our universe as a piece of music being played. From the Big Bang, the first notes began to sound, creating structure, stars, planets, life. Now, imagine flipping that record and playing it backward, from the end to the beginning. The sound remains, but the melody runs in reverse. According to some physicists, the mirror universe could work in just this way. A realm where time flows backward, where before and after have swapped places. The first question, of course, is, why would such a universe exist at all? In the equations of physics, time doesn't have a preferred direction. Most formulas work just as well forward as backward. What makes us feel that time moves only one way isn't built into the universe itself, but into our experience of it. We live inside the current of entropy, the natural drift toward disorder, and so we always see the past behind us and the future ahead. But in a mirror universe, that current could flow the other way. There, entropy would decrease, and everything would grow more ordered over time, like a film played in reverse. This idea arises from the tiniest scales of reality. In particle physics, every particle has an antiparticle, identical in mass but opposite in charge. When matter meets antimatter, they annihilate each other, leaving behind pure light. Strangely, some equations suggest that an antiparticle can be interpreted as an ordinary particle moving backward through time. In other words, even at the most fundamental level of existence, there's already a hint of a reverse universe. If there are particles and antiparticles, why not universes and anti-universes? A cosmos built from the antiparticles of ours, running on perfect symmetry. When we look into the dark spaces between stars, perhaps we're not seeing emptiness at all, but the faint glow of that opposite world, light traveling backward toward its own beginning. The thought seems distant, yet it carries an uncanny sense of balance. In a universe of opposites, light and dark, life and death, being and nothingness, the existence of a reverse side feels almost inevitable. Just as positive needs negative, as music needs silence, perhaps the mirror universe is the counterpart our intuition still senses but can never touch. Some scientists even offer a more vivid picture, that our universe and the mirror one were born together from the same Big Bang, each flowing in its own direction through time. When we gaze deep into the past, watching distant galaxies drift away, their fading light might be whispering to us that beyond that first moment, another world is expanding, but backward. Maybe in that place, there is no before or after as we understand it. Maybe the death of a star here is its birth over there. When the light fades in our world, it flares in theirs, like two sides of the same coin spinning through the void. If that's true, then darkness itself takes on a new meaning. It's no longer the absence of light, but light moving in the opposite direction, from the other side of the cosmic mirror. What we call night might be, to them, the dawn. This perspective makes the universe achingly beautiful. Everything has its reflection, its counterpart. Not just particles, but existence itself is symmetrical. Life emerges from death, knowledge from the unknown, light from shadow. They are two halves of the same symphony, played in opposite directions, meeting in the silent pause between worlds. But could these two universes ever meet? Some theories suggest that at a strange point where time equals zero, perhaps the very heart of the Big Bang, the two were once one. Then they split apart, each carrying its own timeline, like twin drops of water drifting away from the same ocean. If we could somehow peer through that cosmic mirror, we might see a universe identical to ours, but perfectly reversed. Left-handed instead of right-handed, clocks turning backward, light radiating the other way. Everything familiar yet distorted, like a dream. Perhaps in that reflection, we are looking at ourselves from the far side of the light. It's like gazing deeply into someone's eyes and seeing your own reflection, unreachable yet real. The mirror universe might be just that. Not a place we can travel to, but a reminder that every aspect of existence has its opposite, even consciousness itself. In a more abstract sense, perhaps the mirror universe isn't somewhere else at all, but the unseen side of reality we already inhabit. When we die, our personal timeline might simply reverse, flowing back toward its source. Our ending could be the dawn of someone else's beginning, in the world on the other side. There's something strangely comforting about that thought. If everything has its reflection, then nothing is truly lost. Light doesn't vanish, it only changes direction. Like a breath exhaled and drawn in again, like a wave retreating from the shore only to return. The mirror universe, in the end, might be nature's way of keeping balance, an ancient principle woven into every living thing. Darkness, then, is nothing to fear. It's simply light going home. In that symmetry, everything makes sense. Endings are beginnings. Loss is continuation. Silence is just an echo waiting to be heard. They say that when we look up at the night sky, we're seeing the past. But perhaps in the dark between the stars, we're also glimpsing the future. The reflection from the other side of the cosmic mirror. Light traveling backward, returning to its source, brushing against the edge of our own existence. And when we finally understand that our universe might be only half of a greater whole, we may realize that light and darkness were never enemies at all. They've only ever been reflections, taking turns to exist, breathing in and out, like the pulse of one vast living being. To understand that mirror, we must return to the thread that weaves both halves together, the thing that makes everything move, change, and become: time. It is the thread that binds the two universes, the opposing current that gives shape to all things, the force that divides, connects, and creates both light and shadow. Time, a river that everyone drifts within, yet no one has ever truly seen. We feel it through the pulse of our hearts, in every breath, in the slow transformation of the world around us. A green leaf turning gold, the ring of a bell fading into silence, morning light flooding a room and then retreating. We call that time, the one thing we constantly experience but can never hold. When we try to define it, it slips away like water. We measure it with clocks, yet that's only a symbol, not time itself. In every instant, we stand at the intersection of two unreachable realms, the the past, and the future. Everything happens here, in a slice of existence so thin it almost isn't there. For ages, humanity imagined time as a flowing stream. But Einstein, with his quiet brilliance, shattered that picture. He revealed that time doesn't flow evenly, nor does it tick like some cosmic metronome. It bends and stretches, warped by speed and gravity. Near massive objects, time slows down. For those moving close to the speed of light, it expands. Every person, every point in space-time, carries a rhythm of its own. Think about that for a moment. Two people born on the same day, living their lives, one on Earth, the other in orbit, would not age at the same rate. When they meet again, one will be slightly older, the other a bit younger. Even the idea of now loses its absoluteness. In the region near a black hole, where gravity is so intense that not even light can escape, time nearly stops. To an outside observer, anything falling toward it seems frozen at the edge of the event horizon, suspended forever in one moment. But from its own perspective, it plunges inward in an instant, racing to the end of space and time itself. Two viewpoints, two timelines, both true. And for the photon, the particle of light, time simply doesn't exist. From the moment it's born to the moment it reaches an eye, no time passes for it. Its entire journey happens in an eternal present. Which makes one wonder. Perhaps only those trapped in matter and shadow can feel time flow, while light, in its purest nature, has never moved through time at all. Some philosophers have suggested that time doesn't truly exist, that it's only the brain's way of organizing experience. The mind notices change, strings moments together, and calls it past, present, and future. Like watching a movie, but in truth, only one frame is shown at a time. The sense of motion is an illusion created by perception. If that's true, then time might be a product of light and memory. When light illuminates the world, we see change, and our mind records it. Memory becomes the shadow cast by light, giving rise to the illusion that time flows. But in complete darkness, where nothing changes, time itself may vanish, like a dream that's lost its images. You can feel that within yourself. Close your eyes. Let all sounds fade. For a moment, you step outside the river of time. There's no before, no after, only a vast stillness where everything merges into the present. Like a night sky without direction, filled only with the quiet presence of darkness. In that stillness, perhaps you're sensing what physicists call the block universe. The idea that the cosmos exists all at once, past and future-like, as a single frozen sculpture of space-time. We only experience it as a sequence because our consciousness moves along one dimension of it, like a beam of light passing through glass. Wherever it touches, we call that now. Time, then, isn't a river flowing forward, but a still canvas containing every moment at once. What we call passing is just our awareness moving within that painting. The feeling of loss, of people gone, youth faded, memories distant, may be nothing more than a narrow view from where we stand. In the grand picture, nothing is lost, only existing elsewhere on the same canvas. That thought brings a strange peace. It means everything we've ever loved still exists somewhere in the fabric of space-time, never truly gone. The moments we thought had passed might still linger, quiet as stars in the night, just beyond the reach of our perception. Perhaps what we fear about time is not its passage, but its link to endings. Yet in darkness, where light disappears and nothing changes, time loses all power. Every ending dissolves into silence, leaving behind the only thing that ever truly is, the eternal present. Some who've glimpsed the edges of consciousness, in deep meditation or near death, describe a similar experience. No ticking, no before or after, only an immense stillness, a weightless sense of being merged with everything. Maybe that's what true darkness is. Not concealment, but a space where all boundaries fade. When we look up at the night sky, the starlight we see left its source millions of years ago. What we're witnessing isn't their present, but the memory of their light. We live inside a portrait of the past, projected across the heavens by the lamp of time. The darkness between the stars, then, isn't empty. It's the part of the story we haven't yet read. Maybe, in the dark, time doesn't flow at all, but waits in silence to be noticed. Like a forgotten clock in a lightless room, its hands still there, though no one can tell if they're moving. In its deepest sense, time might be the universe's way of seeing itself. When there is light, there is change, and thus, before and after. When the light fades, when darkness falls, everything returns to the primal quiet. Perhaps that's why we fear the night. It reminds us of the realm beyond time, where all things return to one. And in that place, we are no longer rivers in motion, but still lakes reflecting everything. In that silence, there are no years, no change, only the vast present stretching into eternity. Maybe that is the true face of time, not a current, but a tranquil darkness where every moment exists together. What we call flow is merely the echo of memory, a faint glimmer of light searching its way through the night. There will come a moment when the light fades completely, the clock stops, and all motion ceases. Then the river of time will dissolve into the ocean of darkness, returning to the original stillness. But what remains after that? When there is no time, no before or after, no now or later, what endures within that emptiness? Perhaps nothing, but not a frightening void, rather a deep and peaceful space where everything begins and everything ends. Before there was anything, before light, before time, before even space itself, there was one thing: nothing. But the strangest part is, from that nothingness, everything began. The universe, the stars, the planets, life, thought, dreams, all were born out of that original emptiness. A paradox so beautiful it almost hurts. From nothing came existence. For ages, humans feared the void. In our imagination, it was colorless, soundless, a place without even itself. Yet as science approached the edge of understanding, we began to realize that nothing isn't really nothing at all. According to quantum physics, even if you strip away every particle, every photon, every trace of energy from the smallest region of space possible, something still remains. In that vacuum, energy continues to flicker, like a faint invisible breath. Virtual particles appear and vanish, ripples of existence shimmer for a heartbeat, then melt back into silence. The nothing is in fact alive. That's the wonder of the void. It's not an empty wall, but a silent melody where every song can begin. It looks like nothing, yet holds the potential for everything, like a blank canvas waiting for any image to emerge. Our universe may have started just like that, a tiny quantum fluctuation in the void that passed a threshold, igniting the primordial explosion, the Big Bang. From a point smaller than an atom, space began to stretch, time started to tick, matter condensed, and light burst forth. Everything we know, from blooming flowers to distant stars, traces back to that single instant, a breath from nothingness. Perhaps absolute darkness isn't an ending, but the most fertile ground for beginnings. From silence comes sound, from emptiness comes form, from nothing comes the cosmos. Every existence, no matter how small, is a ripple rising from that vast, quiet ocean. Human beings, in our very essence, are woven from that same living void. The atoms in our bodies were once stardust, before that energy, before that, vibrations of space-time, and beyond that, nothing. When we die, nothing in us is lost. We simply return to the stillness we came from, like a drop of water rejoining the sea. The fear of nothingness may come from the fear of losing form, losing the boundary of I. But if we look closer, maybe it isn't loss, it's a return. In the void, there's no separation, no weight of time, no distance, only pure merging, a state where all is one. The ancient philosophers once said, there is no such thing as nothing, because even nothing must exist in some way. For us to say it is nothing, it must first be. Nothingness, then, is not the absence of being, but the possibility of all being. It's like nightfall, when darkness blankets the world and makes us think everything has vanished. But beneath it, seeds are sprouting, the heart of the earth still beats, and the warmth of the cosmos still hums. Stillness is not death. It's the pause between movements. From that view, the void isn't terrifying, it's sacred. It's the silence between notes, the space between breaths, the quiet that allows sound to exist. Without it, nothing could be heard, seen, or born. The void also exists within our everyday lives. When we fall silent after a long day, when our mind empties of thoughts, a small space opens inside us. That space, though brief, holds something many call peace. Perhaps the void is simply the stillness within each of us, a state where we don't have to do or become anything, yet we are completely whole. Modern physicists are beginning to see the void in a new light. Some theories suggest the entire universe could be a small vibration within an infinite ocean of nothingness. When that vibration fades, the universe dissolves, but energy doesn't vanish. It merely rests, waiting for the next creation. If that's true, existence isn't a straight line. It's the breath of the void, expanding and contracting, appearing and fading, in a rhythm with no beginning and no end. In that eternal pulse, everything that has ever existed may return again, in another form. This perspective turns our gaze inward. Every thought, every breath, every moment of silence is a continuation of the void. When we let go of every sound, every image, every idea, we touch that original layer, where there is no self, but also no not-self. Only pure, quiet presence. Perhaps that's what monks, mystics, and poets meant when they spoke of merging with the void. Not disappearing, but becoming transparent, so everything can pass through us, like a still lake that mirrors the entire sky. When you think of it that way, darkness no longer feels frightening. It's not the end, it's where beginnings sleep. Like a mother cradling her unborn child, the void holds all the possibilities of the world. Within nothing lies everything. Maybe we were wrong to call it nothingness. For within its silence beats the rhythm of the universe, though no ear can hear it. Within its emptiness, countless births are unfolding, of particles, of energy, of light. It isn't cold or dead, but life itself at its purest form. The more we reflect on it, the clearer it becomes that every existence carries the imprint of the void. From stardust to cells, from sound to dreams, everything has roots in that same stillness. All things rise and return, like waves that form and fade, while the ocean remains. So when death comes, maybe we don't fall into nothing, but return to everything. Like a drop of dew dissolving into the clouds, like a note melting into the song. In the void, there is no loss, no gain, only the endless continuation of being. Darkness, silence, emptiness, all the things we once feared may be the very foundation of what we are. The origin is not where light begins, but where it is born, from the stillness of nothingness. So when you look up at the night sky and see the darkness stretched between the stars, maybe you're looking right into the cradle of everything. That nothing is, in truth, the source of all things. And within that silence, a question stirs, soft as the universe's first breath. If nothing can give birth to existence, then what is the true nature of the universe? There's a theory that sends shivers down people's spines the first time they hear it. What if the entire universe is just a simulation? A massive, intricate program so perfectly designed that none of us realize we're inside it. Every speck of dust, every beam of light, every thought, and every emotion could be the result of invisible lines of code running in the darkness of another intelligence. It sounds like the plot of a sci-fi movie. Yet, the deeper we dive into modern physics, the harder it becomes to dismiss the idea. Because the more scientists uncover, the more they realize the world we call physical seems to be woven from information itself. The fundamental particles we once believed were the building blocks of the universe don't have fixed shapes or sizes. They're temporary manifestations of energy fields, vibrations described not by images, but by equations. Like the ones and zeros in a computer, everything in the universe might be informational patterns that only appear when observed. Some physicists, like John Archibald Wheeler, once said, "It from bit," meaning everything arises from information. Reality isn't built from bricks and stones, but from answers to questions. When we observe, the information gets recorded. When we don't, the universe seems to drift in a fog of uncertainty. That leads to a deeper question. Who or what is running this program? Is the universe a grand experiment by some higher intelligence exploring its own creativity? Or are we living within one layer of reality, stacked atop countless others, like mirrors reflecting into infinity? There's no clear answer, but the thought paints a haunting picture. If the universe is a simulation, then the light we see might just be its visual interface, while the darkness, the unseen, the unlit, is the source code, the hidden operating system of existence. What we call reality could be a fragile surface floating atop a deeper dimension, where every law of physics is written in a language we can't yet read. When we look at a computer screen, we see images, motion, emotion. But beneath that layer of color and sound lies only code, cold, lifeless strings of characters. Every beautiful moment, every tragedy, only exists when someone experiences it. Perhaps our universe works the same way, a neutral platform, interpreted by the mind. The feeling that we might be living inside a simulation isn't just a philosophical curiosity. Some quantum physics experiments reveal limits to the precision of space-time, much like the resolution of a digital screen. Space isn't perfectly smooth, it's quantized, divided into tiny pixel-like units. Energy, instead of flowing continuously, comes in discrete packets, like bits of data. That has led many to an astonishing idea. Maybe the universe isn't an absolute physical reality at all, but the result of information processing at the most fundamental level. In this view, existence itself is computation. We don't just live in the universe, we're being run inside it. A philosopher once said, "The difference between the real and the unreal is only a matter of complexity. A dream can be so vivid that the dreamer has no idea they're asleep." So if an intelligence existed that could simulate an entire universe, its physics, its consciousness, how could we possibly tell what's real and what's not? In that sense, the question, what is real, begins to blur. Reality is no longer the opposite of illusion. It's just another layer of perception. Like a video game character unable to step beyond the screen to meet the player, our existence might only make sense within the boundaries of the world we know. But there's something deeper hinted at here. If everything is simulated, what separates us from the program itself? Perhaps it's self-awareness, consciousness, the one thing no line of code can fully reproduce. A computer can compute, but it doesn't know it's computing. We, on the other hand, know that we exist, that we see, that we wonder. That awareness, that flicker of self-recognition, might be the program's glitch, or perhaps its purpose. Maybe this entire simulated cosmos was created so that, somewhere in a quiet corner of the galaxy, a small being would one day ask, "Who am I?" If that's true, then darkness isn't something to fear. It's the foundation that holds everything together, the space where every law hides, the void containing the source code of reality itself. The light we see is only the interface, what the program chooses to show us. And in that realization, the world feels lighter. Because if everything is a simulation, then nothing is ever truly lost. Death might simply be an exit command, a logout from one version of existence before rebooting in another. All our pain, joy, triumphs, and failures, they might just be experiences designed for consciousness to learn how to see itself. Yet that doesn't make life meaningless. Quite the opposite. It makes every moment infinitely precious. In this cosmic game, we don't know if there will ever be another run. Every heartbeat, every breath, every glance is part of a one-time performance. Some say that if the universe is a simulation, then love is just chemistry, memory is data, and meaning is an illusion. But maybe, within that illusion, we find truth. Because nothing in this vast system could make us feel so deeply, unless something real was touching the core of who we are. Perhaps the meaning of life doesn't depend on whether we're simulated or not. What matters is that we know we're alive. That awareness, no matter how faint, a single spark in an ocean of darkness, might be reason enough for the whole program to exist. So even if the universe is a game, a dream, or a colossal calculation, the light within us remains real. It can't be simulated, it can't be copied. A solitary spark staring into the void, whispering, "Who wrote this?" And in the moment that question arises, we stop being mere players. We become the observers beyond the screen. In that instant, the universe is no longer a simulation, but a dialogue between the infinite and the finite, between the source code and consciousness itself. And in the silence of the void, perhaps the darkness smiles. Because it knows the program has fulfilled its purpose. It has made the light aware of itself. From there, a new question echoes softly across the cosmic expanse. A simulation can recreate life, but can it ever recreate death? Death is often spoken of as an ending, a full stop, a flame going out, a breath ceasing, a light leaving the body. But perhaps the darkness that follows isn't the end at all, but a kind of return, a door opening, leading us back to where light first began. There are nights when, gazing up at the stars, we feel so small that we almost disappear. Just a spark in an endless sea of black. And yet, in that moment, something inside us senses a thin thread, connecting life and death as if they aren't opposites, but two halves of the same cosmic breath, inhaling and exhaling through eternity. In nature, nothing is ever truly lost. A fallen leaf dissolves into the earth, becoming nourishment for new roots. A star burns out, explodes in a blinding instant, and its stardust gathers again to form new suns, new worlds, new beings. Beings who one day look up at the sky and ask, "Where did I come from?" Death, perhaps, is part of that rhythm, a silent pause in an endless song. A moment for energy to rearrange itself, for matter to change form, for light to retreat into shadow until it finds its way back again. Humans have always feared the dark, because in it, we can't see. No faces, no sounds, no boundaries. But maybe that's exactly why the universe began its story there. In darkness, the first particles were born. In darkness, consciousness flickered for the very first time, like the first spark in a meteor shower. When the light within us fades, what truly disappears? The body, made of billions of atoms, separates, melts away, and returns to earth, water, and air. Every carbon atom in us may once have lived in an ancient bird, a flicker of flame, or the heart of a distant star. Every final breath we release is carried by the wind, joining the air someone else will one day inhale. Perhaps death takes nothing away, it only gives back. It returns to the darkness, the light it once borrowed. In those final moments of stillness, time seems to stretch. Everything slows, softens, fades. The self dissolves like morning mist. All fears, memories, desires, they fall away like grains of sand sinking into the deep ocean, merging into silence. There is no me, no them. Only the feeling of being held, gently, infinitely, by invisible arms. Many who've stood on the threshold between life and death speak of seeing a light, not blinding or fierce, but soft, like the first dawn. A sense of dissolving, yet not disappearing. As if their true essence, the light within, was simply going home. Back to where the quiet darkness had been waiting all along. Maybe death isn't the end of the story, but the turning of a page. The words are gone, but the story continues. Each soul, after finishing its own chapter, returns to the source, the same place where all stories begin. Like a raindrop falling into the sea, rising again as vapor, then falling once more. The journey has no start or finish, only transition, a perfect rhythm between descent and ascent. We, too, are temporary forms of matter and energy, waves rising briefly on the infinite ocean before fading, so others can rise. From that perspective, death becomes gentle. Not an enemy, but a guide, an old friend arriving when the game is done. No judgment, no punishment, just a whisper. It's time to go home. That home may not be a place, but a state of being. Absolute stillness, where light and shadow merge, where past and future dissolve. A space where every question falls silent, not because there are no answers, but because answers are no longer needed. In that darkness, our energy doesn't vanish. It transforms, flowing back into the great current. Every particle carries the memory of countless lives, countless forms, countless cycles of breaking and becoming. It is this endless renewal that keeps the universe expanding, never empty, never still. For at its core, death is the fuel of life. A star collapses, and from its ashes, thousands of new stars are born. A forest burns, and its ashes feed the soil. Every time something ends, the universe quietly prepares a new beginning. Perhaps our own death is a seed, not of flesh, but of awareness, of memory, of energy. Deep within the dark, maybe every soul that has ever lived, loved, and lost still exists, not in its old form, but as waves of light merging together, forming the heartbeat of the cosmos. The self dissolves, yet is not gone. It becomes part of the whole, like a drop of water in the ocean, no longer separate but never lost. Maybe we feared death because we thought it steals the light. But once we understand that darkness isn't nothingness, but the cradle of everything, the open palm waiting to receive us, the fear fades. Like a child falling asleep in its mother's arms, unaware it has drifted into night. Death, in this view, is the dissolving of boundaries. The moment we stop resisting the current, stop clinging to what was never ours to keep. It's the moment we let ourselves drift, light as smoke, quiet as wind. And from that surrender, something miraculous happens. We begin to see that life never truly left us. Every death is but a long exhale of the universe, preparing for the next inhale. In that breath, every ending becomes a beginning. When we understand this, death no longer feels tragic, but natural, like the sunset at the end of a long day. The sun sets, only to rise again on the other side of the world. Maybe we don't need to know exactly what happens when our inner light goes out. Because perhaps, when we get there, we'll realize we never left the light at all. That even within the darkness, it has always been there, waiting for us to see it was never gone. From death, we rediscover life, two sides of the same breath. One inhale, one exhale, forming the rhythm of the universe. And every soul, no matter how small, plays its part in that eternal symphony, where death is not the end, but merely a change in tempo, allowing the light to keep on singing in the dark. In places where humans once believed nothing could exist, life still breathes, patiently, quietly. At the bottom of the ocean, where sunlight has never reached, creatures glow with light born from their own bodies. Down there, temperatures hover near freezing, pressures could crush steel, yet molten streams from beneath the earth feed a thriving ecosystem in the dark. There is no day, no night, only the steady rhythm of beings that have never seen the sun, but still find their way to grow in silence. Between deep fissures miles below the Pacific, seawater meets molten rock. From that meeting, hydrothermal vents are born, spewing clouds rich in minerals. Tiny bacteria have learned to live by drawing energy not from light, but from the chemistry of sulfur and iron. And from that miracle, an entire world unfolds. Giant, mouthless worms, blind crabs, glowing catfish. None of them need sunlight, for in the endless night, they have learned to create light of their own. These creatures remind us of something profound. Life does not depend on the sun. It only needs a chance, a spark of energy, a place to call home. Even in the harshest of conditions, life finds a way, as if the universe itself carries an instinct to continue. The deeper we explore, the more we realize darkness is not empty. Beneath the ground, kilometers below the surface, microbes live by feeding on the chemicals within rocks. They can sleep for thousands of years, then awaken at the touch of water. In the frozen depths of Antarctica, ancient cells still survive, waiting patiently for the moment the ice melts so they can live once more. In the vastness of space, we've begun to see signs that life might not need light or oxygen at all. On Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, an ocean may lie beneath a crust of ice miles thick. Beneath that frozen ceiling, there could be simple organisms drifting through salt water, surviving on heat from the moon's core. On Enceladus, a small moon of Saturn, geysers spew plumes of vapor filled with organic compounds, the very building blocks of life. When we understand this, everything changes. Life is no longer a miracle unique to Earth. It could exist everywhere, in countless forms, in the quiet corners of the cosmos. Perhaps the universe isn't silent at all. Maybe we just haven't yet learned how to hear the whisper of life hidden in the dark. It's strange to think that perhaps those unseen creatures, the ones who live in the dark, might be looking back at us with the same curiosity. To them, light could be the alien thing, maybe even frightening. Just as we once feared the dark, somewhere out there, something in the dark may tremble at the thought of day. Maybe at its deepest level, life doesn't need light to survive. Only a reason to keep going. In every cell, in every molecule, there's a faint pulse, a quiet longing to endure. Life is matter's will to feel itself. Whether in light or in shadow, that will keeps burning. If we look closely, perhaps humans too are children of darkness. We are born in the black warmth of the womb, in silence and shelter. The first light we ever see makes us cry. From then on, our journey is simply a passage from one darkness to another. From the darkness of sleep to the darkness of the universe when we close our eyes for the last time. Between those two shadows, light is only a brief pause that reminds us we exist. In its deepest sense, darkness has never been life's enemy. It is the blanket that holds all beginnings and endings. In the night, seeds sprout, embryos grow, ideas are born. What we call darkness might simply be the safe space life chooses to mature before it steps into the light. Some say that deep within the Earth's caves, there are creatures that have never known daylight. Their eyes have faded, their skin turned translucent, their bodies merged with the color of the dark. They don't need sight to survive. They feel the world through vibrations, through chemicals, through breath. To them, darkness isn't absence, it's everything. And that makes us wonder. Maybe it's light that blinds us. Light shows us shape, but makes us forget essence. In the light, we divide everything, bright and dark, good and bad. In the dark, all things merge into one. There are no boundaries, only the quiet sense of connection. Life in the dark proves that the universe doesn't need to be illuminated to exist. It only needs to be felt. Just like within the human mind, we often understand ourselves best when we close our eyes. When the light of thought dims, the truths that matter most begin to glow. Perhaps life out there is just like that. Quiet, subtle, profound, creatures that sing with vibrations through the water, that shine like stars in the deep, that live by energies we have yet to comprehend. From that perspective, darkness is no longer frightening. It's a living part of the universe, coexisting with us. It doesn't swallow the light, it protects it so the light can last. Without darkness, no stars would shine. Without night, no dreams would be born. Maybe somewhere in the endless void, there are worlds where light has never existed, yet life still breathes, feels, and reaches for something beyond survival, just like us. The universe may be filled with darkness, but within every shadow there's still a heartbeat, faint but steady. Like an ember buried in ash, waiting for a gust of wind to rise again. Life, in any form, is the miracle that gives meaning to the dark, because only in the night do we see the stars. Only in the absence of light do we discover the glow that lives within us, not from the outside, but from the deepest part of our being. Perhaps that is what every living thing, from the ocean floor to the farthest galaxy, is guarding, the inner flame. Life, even in darkness, is not just survival. It's a gentle reminder that night does not kill the light. It nourishes it, holds it close, so when the time comes, that light can return, brighter, stronger, and more grateful than before. In the end, darkness is not our enemy. It's the quiet companion that has always been there, watching us grow, watching us fear, and softly smiling when we finally understand. Within it, life first began. Darkness. Two simple words, yet in the universe, they carry the weight of everything that has ever existed. We often think of darkness as the enemy, a void to be feared, a place where terror hides. But if you pause for a moment, breathe slowly, and listen, you'll realize darkness is not hostile. It simply is, quiet and ever-present, like the backdrop of all we know, the invisible thread that connects every breath, every star, every grain of cosmic dust. Darkness gives birth to light, providing the stage where brightness can shine. Without it, the stars would fade and the day would lose its brilliance. From darkness, time stretches like a flowing river. From darkness, life finds its shelter. From darkness, awareness flickers to life like a small lamp in the night. It never shouts, never demands. It simply watches, guarding the balance that allows all things to emerge, exist, and eventually dissolve. When we look at the universe, we see something astonishing. Everything depends on darkness. Black holes swallow light, yet keep the cosmos from collapsing. Dark matter weaves invisible threads of gravity, binding galaxies together, while dark energy pushes the universe outward, creating space for everything to grow. Darkness isn't just the background, it's the guardian that maintains order in chaos, allowing everything to move in its own rhythm. And within the human mind, darkness is not the enemy either. The unconscious, buried memories, fears, the unspoken, they all dwell there. From that darkness, consciousness takes form, awareness blooms, and the self begins to shape itself. Darkness teaches patience. It teaches us to wait, to feel without seeing. It holds every thought, every emotion, without judgment, simply allowing them to exist until we learn to understand them. Perhaps what rules the vast darkness is not a mighty force, not a measurable substance or energy, but the deepest essence of the universe itself, something that can't be seen with the eyes or held in the hands, but can be felt through intuition, through stillness, through breath. Darkness is the something upon which all else relies, the unspoken foundation of every story. In darkness, all boundaries dissolve. A star is no brighter than a speck of dust. Space no longer divides into near and far. Time no longer flows as we know it. Everything returns to its most primal state, formless, nameless. Those who dare to face the darkness within themselves glimpse the true nature of the soul, the parts that belong neither to day nor light, but to something ancient, unchanging, and deeply real. Darkness is also where the greatest questions arise. Where did the universe begin? Why does it exist? Who are we in this endless sea of black? In every question, darkness lingers, not offering answers, but urging us to search, to reflect, to feel rather than to see. Each step we take into darkness, whether outward or inward, is a step closer to the source, to the true nature of both the cosmos and ourselves. In that silence, darkness reminds us to be humble. Earth, stars, galaxies, and each of us are nothing more than tiny specks of dust in an infinite sea. Yet that smallness is beautiful. Darkness does not judge or demand. It embraces everything as it is, large or small, bright or dim. Darkness is a silent companion. It witnesses every beginning and every end, yet never interferes. It keeps the universe in balance, allowing life to move in its quiet harmony. What we call void, invisible, unseen, is in truth the most subtle presence of all. Always there, never lost, simply waiting for us to stop and feel it. Perhaps that's its greatest miracle. Darkness never rushes, never commands, never competes. It is the foundation of all things, yet also the stage where everything comes alive. In darkness, we learn to listen, to breathe, to realize we exist without needing proof. Now, looking back across the history of the cosmos, from the Big Bang, from the first sparks of light, through black holes swallowing time, dark energy stretching space, dark matter holding galaxies in place, to the creatures that thrive in the deep oceans and the depths of the human mind, all of it returns to one truth. Darkness is the foundation, the guardian, the quiet breath upon which the universe rests. Darkness is not absence, it is presence. Not an attack, but protection. Not an ending, but an opening for every beginning. It allows light to appear, life to breathe, time to unfold, and thought to arise. Everything depends on it, whether we see it or not, whether we realize it or not. Darkness is always there, embracing all. So pause now. Take a slow, deep breath. Feel the rhythm of your own body, and let the darkness of the universe merge with the darkness within you. Feel it, not in haste, not in noise, but in quiet presence. In this moment, there is no division between light and dark, life and death, inside or outside. There is only stillness, the place where everything simply is, where the essence of the universe and your own being meet in the arms of darkness. Darkness, the eternal guardian, has guided us through every shade of existence. It shows us there is nothing to fear, only to feel, to learn, to move in harmony. It is always there and will always be there, when we open our eyes, when we close them, when we breathe in, and when we breathe out. Now, close your eyes and let darkness do what it has always done, hold everything. In the infinite silence, you are part of that rhythm, part of that endless cycle. Darkness does not vanish when light appears, nor does it fade when light dies. It simply is, and always will be. The keeper, the sustainer, the gentle cradle that allows everything to be born, to live, and to dissolve again within its quiet embrace. Let darkness hold you. Let it guide you, as it has guided the universe since its very first breath of light, from the first spark of life to this very moment, where you sit, silent and still, breathing with the cosmos, surrounded by the infinite sea of darkness that is, and always has been, full of life.